So, hi there. Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm going to make a short video. Yeah, I'm going to make a video, and it will be as long or as short as it will be. Now, yeah, one of the things that Ramesh would always say, when people would say, you know, why does God let this happen? Why does God let that happen? You know, why they're handicapped children? And Ramesh would say, well, the reason there are handicapped children is so that there can be perfect children. And yeah, you know, look at what handicapped people have achieved in the world. It's, you know, like Helen Keller. She was deaf and blind. Who else? I was talking about Stephen Hawking the other day. He wasn't born handicapped, but I think in his mid-20s he developed motor neuron disease. I'll get it right. And was confined to a wheelchair in the end. And used to speak through, he couldn't speak, he used to speak through a computer. And he wrote the book, A Brief History of Time, one of the world's most valued books, really. I think he discovered black holes and things like that, which people, when he goes, oh, yeah, there's things called black holes. Oh, no, you're wrong. They even chucked him out. They banned him. And then, I don't know, some few years later, I don't know, it was the Hubble telescope or whatever it was, or calculator, he actually proved that there were black holes. And then he was, you know, had all the accolades of the world's leading scientist. And that's what happens. It's that's what happens with things. Yeah, but so Ramesh would say that, you know, give up on this idea of two powers operating in the universe. It's all one, it's all the same. It's just interconnected opposites that allow life as we know it to happen. So you have to have light and dark. You have to have left and right, up and down, good and bad, sweet and sour, etc., etc., pain and pleasure, fame and disrepute, all these things. They're all interconnected opposites. And what Ramesh would say is, yeah, all these things are going, you know, why does God allow wars? Why does God allow cancer? Why does God... You just say it's just the way it is, you know. You used to say, you know, what appears to you as chaos, God doesn't see it like that, because we don't know how he sees things. We don't, or she, or cosmic law, or the source. No one knows what this is all about. They can cut things up into smaller and smaller slices, but they don't really know. No one knows what this is all about. It's just a big mystery. But what Ramesh would say is, yeah, look, just what I'm offering you is peace of mind in daily living, that everything happens as it happens. It's all predestined. You just have to play your part, and you play your part by doing and saying what you think you should do. No? You can't know the will of God. All you can do is be his instrument and do what you think and feel like doing. And he said, as for all the chaos in the world, God has created the chaos. Let God sort it out. You just do what you've got to do. Yeah. So, yeah, just let God sort out the chaos. And I was listening to or watching a YouTube video this morning of probably one of the greatest minds the world has ever known. You know, a great person, like Leonardo da Vinci, you know, so, and he's called Noam Chomsky. He's an American philosopher, writer, political commentator. He wrote a really fantastic book about managing consent, which is how propaganda and the media work in order to enable populations to comply. And I think we all had a stark example of that with what they called the COVID-19 pandemic. It would seem it was all planned. And suddenly the whole of the world was put into lockdowns. No aeroplanes flying, no boats, cruise ships. These ships shipping goods were still working. Never getting in the way of their profits. But but how consent was manufactured there, and it's all coming out now that these vaccines weren't really vaccines. But a lot of doctors and scientists knew this, but they weren't allowed to speak. They were fired. They were put under enormous amount of pressure. Anything they put out was censored, removed. So there you are, yeah. Manufacturing Consent. I can recommend it as a good read, although I've never read it. I can't reckon. I do read books, but I couldn't wade my way through. I know what he's going to. I pretty much know what he's going to say in it because he has talked about it on his YouTube videos. But basically, what happens is governments have a narrative that is fed and fed and fed, and anything that counters that narrative is censored. Believe it or not. So Noam Chomsky, fantastic mind. I'll put a copy of the a link to his video in the box below. But basically, what he was talking about was the Ukraine, his view on that, and Putin. Simply, what he was saying was that the whole problem of the Ukraine really has it began with Mikhail Gorbachev, the Russian president, who basically did a deal with the West to make Russia into a new democratic country, if you like, or a lot of countries like all the Baltic states and Ukraine and Poland and East Germany, I suppose, because then they became the United Germany. Everything came from there. And I think it was, I forget what American president it was. I think it was, I don't know, he used to be a film star. Big mate with Margaret Thatcher. What was he called? He played cowboy roles. Oh, I had his name then, it's gone. You know what I mean. No, I can't think of his name. But he did a deal with Gorbachev, basically saying, if you do all that, we'll trade with you, we'll open up markets to you, and you can open your markets. But one of the stipulations, evidently, was that America and the rest of the countries in Europe would not extend NATO eastwards. That Russia, that would be it. Russia would be, it wouldn't have any more NATO countries on its border to the east. They're all there in the west, like France and Germany and Great Britain and Holland and what was it, the Netherlands we call them. All those states, Belgium, Spain, Italy, all that lot. But don't Poland and Ukraine, not in NATO. But what happened then is that Mikhail Gorbachev was ousted or died. I can't remember what he did. And the guys who took over just made a complete ash of it. It was just disaster. It was just, to go from a totalitarian communist empire to being run by people who don't know how to run things democratically and financially, the whole thing just collapsed. And that's when Putin took over. Vladimir Putin, who was the head of the Russian sort of secret service. And what he did then is he basically gave all the concessions to his mates, and that's when all these Russian oligarchs were formed based on energy and, well, everything really. All the state utilities and oil fields and gas and electricity and food. It was all given to his mates who were also ex-KGB, and that's where you got all these Russian oligarchs from. It was sudden, case full of cash going all over the country buying property. A lot of Russian money came into Great Britain and other European countries, but a lot in Britain. Huge amount of money into London. But then Putin took over, and then what you have is a succession of American presidents that then decided that it would be a good idea to encircle Russia and to extend NATO. And they've been talking about Ukraine becoming a member of NATO for quite some time, and it's always been, so Noam Chomsky said, was vetoed by the Germans and the French, but they were coming round to the idea, evidently. And that's when, and there's also this Russians. It's about really Russia having access to the sea. That's why they took back the Crimea, which was supposed to be an independent state. Russia took that back, and then there's this sort of Donbass region of Ukraine, which links Russia to the Crimea, where they are Russian speakers. But I'm told that that was going to be given autonomy by the Ukraine, but then they started, I didn't know this, but they started shelling the people in the Donbass and giving them a really tough time. And that's when Putin intervened and invaded the Ukraine, because he doesn't want to see NATO extended. Anyway, that's what Naom Chomsky said. There's two sides to every story. And there's a really great guy who was interviewing Noam Chomsky, and he said, what do you think's in Putin's mind? He said, I don't know. I'm not a mind reader. All I can do is judge him on what he says and his actions. Sounds like, oh, he said, I don't know what's going through his mind. Who knows? He wouldn't tell you anyway. So the guy then said, well, if you could ask him a question, what would it be? He said, well, one, he'd just walk out the room. And secondly, whatever I said to him, he would not, he wouldn't answer. He doesn't talk to me. It's so funny. And you think, yeah, this guy's right, So, yeah, well, what he was basically saying is if we don't learn to cooperate, at the moment we've got America trying to encircle China. We've got this base in Taiwan, this independent state in Taiwan, which is basically a state of the United States of America. It's the biggest producer of semiconductors in the world. And a whole world's economy depends on Taiwan producing, because no one can make these microchips like they can, silicon chips. They're just way out, 20 years in front of everybody else. As soon as somebody copies one of they just come out with an even super version of it. And China can't make anything without Taiwanese semiconductors, or the rest of the world. That's why there was a car shortage during the COVID pandemic, because they stopped making these semiconductors because no one was buying them. The car companies wasn't buying them. But anyway, so what Noam Chomsky was saying was, basically America is it's just become this huge bully in the world. He's saying that basically what they have is fiefdoms, states, if you like, and one he named was Israel. biggest receiver of American foreign aid. Basically, they bankroll Israel just to keep American interests in the Middle East high and flying. It's basically an American base, American state. You say the other big, I didn't know this, was Egypt. They give them a lot of money, which is a very oppressive regime. So what they're doing is just basically encircling the oil fields. We all know what happened like Naom Chomski said, that the reason they went to war in Iraq was to, one, Saddam Hussein wanted well, he didn't say this, but this is what I've been told, that Saddam Hussein said to the Americans, I don't want you to settle my oil revenues in dollars anymore, I want gold. And now I'm told there's a lot of Middle Eastern countries who are thinking of switching their settlements, as it's called, to the Chinese yuan from the dollar, because the dollar's the international currency of settling commodities. Right. So yeah, what he was saying was, you got this America highly aggressive in the world, like Afghanistan, Iraq. They went in there, saying that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. They had the guy from the United Nations, his hands blick. He said, they haven't got any. I've gone everywhere. They've opened the doors to everything. There are no weapons of mass destruction here. And then there was all this, there's links to Al Qaeda and 9/11. No, we just went in there to get the oil reserves and to again create chaos in the Middle East. Now we're still seeing the outcomes of Iraq. They say 1 million Iraqis were killed. 1 million. Men, women and children. That was Tony Blair. What did he... He went off to Camp David to see George Bush, the then president. He said to Jack Straw, who was the foreign secretary at the time, Jack, we're not going to war. I've got to go and listen to what he's got to say. And I'm going to came back, oh yeah, we're off to war, Jack. What? Yeah, we've got to do it. Yeah. It's all weapons of mass destruction, I'm not going to... Jack Straw, I think he resigned. He said, I can't do that. You're crazy, Tony. Those people... But what did George Bush say to Tony Blair? What did he say? Either you're with us or you're against us. If you're against us, then you can watch out, mate. Because all sorts of things will happen on your watch that you didn't expect, that you didn't want. I imagine that's what was said. And then, arm round, I'll look after you, I'll look after Britain, Anyway, so that's that. Yeah, so it's just America just destabling the world wherever they can. And what Naom Chomsky was saying was, it's just, we've never seen a nation this powerful in humankind's history. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to encircle China. You've basically got three superpowers. You've got China, you've got Russia, and you've got the United States of America. And the Chinese and the Russians are sticking together. Don't think they've got any choice, have they? But, enough nuclear weapons to blow up the Earth 20, 30 times, if not more. And what Noam Chomsky was saying is that if we get involved in nuclear, that's it, lights out, good night Vienna, because there just wouldn't be any way that you could have a inhabitable world that could sustain human life. It would just frightening. But, you know, until these countries learn to, you know, Russia and China and America have to cooperate. That's what Noam Chomsky was saying. Otherwise, there's no hope for the human race. None at all. Yeah. So yeah, I'll put a copy to there. But yeah, Ramesh was very clear about everything. God created the chaos. Let him sort it out. But you can do what you think and feel like doing. You know, if you want to become an activist, become an activist. You know, if you just think, oh, you know, I just want to get on and there's nothing I can do about that. No one's going to listen to me. You just get on. You know, run your business, take your kids to school, cook some nice meals from scratch, take the dog for a walk, go camping, go for your fortnight's holiday in Mallorca if you can get it. Don't worry, it's nothing you can do. Just let life unfold. And that's what Ramesh was saying. That's what, you know, part of this peace of mind in daily living. Yeah. I was also listening to another brilliant mind called Iain McGilchrist. He sounds English. He's obviously got a Scottish name. Now, I know he lives on the Isle of Skye, and he's professor of this and professor of that. He's basically started as a what did he start as? I think he was a scientist of some description. Then he trained in medicine and then became a psychiatrist, professor of psychiatry. He's a poet. He's also a philosopher. And he came up with this, you know, the master and his servant, which is basically about the hemispheres of the brain, the right hemisphere and how that works, and the left hemisphere and how that works, and how, you know, depending on how your brain is formed, as you can have a bias to one or the other of these left and right hemispheres. And he says, "Oh, don't believe all the rubbish that you read about. Read my book." The latest book he's written is The Matter with Things, and that just I've not read the book because it's just too complicated for me. I just like listening. He does these wonderful videos on YouTube, and I'll put the McGilchrist one that I was listening in the bottom below. But it's just wonderful how he's a scientist. He slices up. Philosophers are broad stroke. Scientists are very, you know, slice everything up into, and this does this, and this leads to that, and if you do this and that'll happen. That's scientists. And it's quite funny. One of the examples he was giving of why does anybody do anything? That's what Ramesh used to say. Why does anybody do anything? Why do you think people do stupid things? Because they're always going to do what they're doing, from their genetic makeup, their up-to-date conditioning, and this life force that's within us all. That's what dictates what you're going to do. I didn't know I was going to make this video an hour and a half ago. No idea. Perhaps you wish I hadn't. I don't know. It's but one example he was given of things happening was he said, why does a turtle come out of the sea, walks up the beach, digs a hole, lays its eggs, buries them, and back into the sea again? You know, what are the, what is he saying? What are the processes? And it's sort of slicing things up. Turtle comes out of water, walks up beach, left, you know, 4 legs, head, digs a hole, lays it. And what Ramesh would say is, no, you don't slice it up. You know, something makes the turtle realise it's going to lay its eggs. It comes out of the sea, it walks up the beach, it digs a hole, lays its eggs, and back and down again. and back into the sea. But like Ramesh could say, anything could happen along the way. You know, the poor creature could have, I don't know, been eaten by a, what would he eat? I don't know, a killer whale. They eat turtles, don't they? They eat anything. But, so it could have been, turtle decides to go out, doesn't make it out to sea because it's eaten by an orca, a killer whale. You see, and this is what, don't slice things up. Just see everything as a continual happening. It's just everything's just a flow. Now, turtle comes out decides to come out of the water, comes out of the water, walks up beach, digs hole, lays eggs, covers the eggs up, turns around, walks back into the sea. It's all one event. It's, you know, why does the turtle do this and why does the turtle do that? Who cares? That's what Ramesh would say. Who really cares? So funny. Anyway. Yeah. Whatever's happening is what's going to happen. What's going to happen is going to happen. And if you, it's a great solace, really, peace of mind that whatever's happening is happening. I don't know what I can do about it. Well, I might be able to. Yeah, it's like my neighbour over the road. She fell over a year. She came and see her neighbour, tripped up the step, bashed into the garage wall, the corner, and broke her arm. So I went down there. They said, "Oh, pick her up, put her in a chair." I said, No, just leave her there. She's okay. And I said, "You've broken your arm. I think you'd better get an ambulance." So, yeah, I could have not taken any notice. God knows what. But I went and did that. I helped where I could. You know, carted off to an ambulance, had an operation. I think her arm's getting better now. But it wasn't anything to do with me. Like Ramesh would say. Events happen, deeds are done. There's no individual doer thereof. My next was always going to come over, always going to trip over that step, bang into the wall, and I was always going to go down and help her and go and ring for the ambulance. It happened. And if you can get your head around that, oh, I should have done that, I shouldn't have done that, I should have done this. Oh, why did they say that? Why did they? Because they did. Don't take it personally. Right, so I will put those links in the to McGilchrist, Iain McGilchrist's, and Noam Chomski, he's 93 now. The guy's brain is just, how he recalls information, it's just extraordinary. Still trying to think of that American president's name. I can see him with Margaret Thatcher. Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan. Who, he was a charmer. He had Margaret Thatcher around his little finger. He said, "Oh yeah, Mark, we're great friends." And then he'd go off and have meetings with somebody and not tell her anything about it. With Gorbachev, I think it was. Yeah. Because she thought she was the deal maker with Gorbachev. And it wasn't. It was Ronald Reagan. Anyway, so if you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe, because I might do another one. There are 5 previous ones. They're all numbered, all my videos. So have a look at them if you want to. You've got to push the like button, a thumbs up if you liked it, and then you'll get a note. That does things with YouTube algorithms. What else? Make a comment if it's something about this, or if you've got a question you want to ask me. Just drop it in the comments box or send me an email. I'll always answer it. Yeah, I'm doing one-to-one sessions now. If you think I could help, or if you just want to talk and I'll listen. Because so many people say, "Oh, I can't talk to anybody about this. They wouldn't understand." I don't have to understand. I'm just quite happy to listen. I do things with companies, Go in there, get a group of people together. It's amazing what comes out of those meetings when people are allowed to be their authentic selves. Given permission to say whatever you like. Not going to be reported back. Right. So yeah, one-to-ones, I do those on Zoom. Send me an email, it's in the box below. Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for listening. Watching, listening.